So what is practice? To me, is literally going after specific things while I'm practicing, specific concepts, and not just, aiming at multiple things at the same time, like, for example, practicing technique with a metronome all the time, which is already applying this technique to regular timing pulse. But like getting rid of information made sense because I knew exactly what I was aiming at. So of course, to be able to be synchronized to the external forces like the sticks, the rebound, or on the pedals, the springs, you have to have an amazing control of your body in order for the body to be able to adapt to whatever the external forces are requiring from it. So that made me go back to my initial question, which was, if I know what my body should do, why isn't my body able to do what my brain wants it to do? And so I had to go and do other researches, and I found a lot of explanation in the neurological studies that they have on how our body and our brain work literally to be able to execute motions. And basically what happens is that our brain sends input to certain parts of the body execute those motions and gives a feedback back to the brain, which tries to figure out a more efficient way to execute those motions in a more comfortable and ergonomic way possible. So that's literally what happens when we're practicing technique or any body motion. And that is also part of how the rehabilitation process works, or the re-education of our body motion works. And so that really answered to the question of why, first of all, why my brain and my body are kind of disconnected when I start to practice and I started to try to develop all this technique, but also on what it means to practice. Like, how should I spend the time? When do I know that what I'm doing, like the time that I'm spending in doing exercises, is transforming in progress and information for my body, like useful information for my body, and not confusing or making things worse, or not really changing anything at all. So basically from there, I started to understand how also concentration is a huge part of all this. Without concentration, my body will be on autopilot. So if I practice hands while I'm watching TV, nothing is really happening there. My body is just on autopilot, repeating all the things that my body already knows how to do, both the good things and the mistakes. So there's really no improvement. But also, if I'm practicing and I'm not focused on where I'm practicing. So concentration, it's the most important thing in while practicing. And also concentrating, it's a muscle that we have to train. It's very hard to be able to stay concentrated for long periods of time. So that also answered to the question, how long should I practice every day? Should I practice 8 hours, or should I practice 1 hour or 3 hours? And basically, the amount of time that you can stay concentrated is the productive amount of time that you're spending on your instrument, as far as educating your body motion, re-educating your body motions. Then all the part of the time that you spend with not being very concentrated and maybe just having fun on the kit, or just repeating songs that you have to play live, that's more of a physical practice. So they're both good, but it's very important to distinguish the two things. Like, if you practice technique watching television, and then you train your body being very concentrated only on your bass drum patterns, then you're kind of like using the practice session in the opposite way compared to a more efficient way of being concentrated when you're educating your body motion and creating synchronizations between your body and the drums, And the second part, which is a more a physical training for your body to still be able to play drums for many hours without injuring yourself or without getting tired, and also applying all the parts that you develop in the technique part.